Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me with my new angle. I actually got some real lighting so I don't look like a 1990s video game. That's what Andy called it. We thought we would have more ample lighting in the hotel room, but it was ridiculous, so we went and we got a ring light. I'm also recording this a little bit early because I've got some errands to run this afternoon. Gonna get out there and enjoy the California sun for sure. So I hope you enjoy this new angle on me. It's a little weird, but we're gonna make it work today. So today I really wanted to show you guys this awesome video from MSNBC, believe it or not. It's really good. My huge excitement about this stems from the fact that it's just informed people putting mainstream reporters in their place. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me see here if I can do this correctly.
Mastriano was at the insurrection and he was photographed breaching one of the restricted areas. Is that okay?
Which area? Because I saw a video where Capitol officers were taking away barriers and unlocking doors for people. So, I mean,
they opened the gates.
So it shouldn't be disqualifying for an elected official if they participate in January 6th?
He didn't strike anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
And the only one that died was a protester there, not a Capitol police
unarmed
officer.
Female veteran.
That's the only one that died.
Whoa, these people came prepared and I love it. I frankly love that these are just normal people. These people look like they just came from work. They look like they just came from, running errands outside. I think it's awesome. They are prepared. Let's hear what else they have to say. This is a little bit of a long video, but I really think we need to hear all of it because these people are taking this seriously.
The only one who died.
A police officer did die.
No, it was a
Heart attack.
stroke.
That's
not on site.
Caused by that. That's because he shouldn't have been a police officer. It was one woman.
So what do you make, though, overall of January 6th? I mean, watching that footage, it was pretty disturbing. I mean, there were people throwing excrement at the walls, and it was it's the Capitol.
It looked a lot like it.
So she's quickly pivoting to trying to talk about the emotions involved in January 6th. She's like, okay, so you got me. So nobody was actually killed. So nobody actually drew a gun or anything at the January 6th riot. But what about the emotions? These people also not having that.
Antifa's action.
Yeah, it looked a lot, except on a much smaller scale. It looked the same as the Black Lives Matter riots.
That's what I saw, the similarities to
around the
be.
country, not
Minneapolis
just one.
burns. Kenosha burns.
But so it's okay just because one side that you disagree with?
I'm
it's
saying
okay
Antifa
for...
infiltrated.
It's good for one, it's good for the other.
Anybody
I don't
who
see it
harms
that way.
anybody who caused property destruction, that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
but if you're
on
there
either
making
side.
your voice heard at the people's house, no less, that's, again, it's a fundamental constitutional right of an American citizen.
I really like this young man. He sounds a little bit affected and I appreciate what he has to say. Like, I'm really glad that he's speaking out. He's clearly the youngest person and I think that he's probably the most likely to be swayed by an emotional argument, probably just because he is the youngest. But he's not having any of it.
And people should not be being held political prisoner because of it.
For misdemeanors. That's East Germany.
That's East Germany.
Tactics.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
It was an actual fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And the other ones that were the opposite.
Was the protest legitimate in your eyes?
Administration,
because...
I feel like, is using it as their Reichstag fire. That's exactly what they're using it as.
Do you think that President Trump could have quelled the violence that day?
Not him personally.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
It started while he was still speaking.
So this lady was actually at his speech. So she went to listen to him for the last time. She was actually literally there. And I really think that threw this MSNBC reporter for a loop. So let's hear what she has to say.
I was actually there. I was there to see what I thought was going to be the last time I ever saw Trump in Little Diana.
So did he tell everybody to go and start rioting?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, and actually, I stayed for the whole speech, like a ton of people did. And then we all headed to the Capitol because he said, let's go to the Capitol and peacefully let our voices be heard. And we get to the Capitol, we're like, what the hell's going on? Because it had already happened.
I'm pretty sure I saw Democratic operatives instigating people to cross barriers.
That is so interesting to me. Okay, so let me see if I can switch back here. I love this so much because all of these ordinary people came ready to fight. And I am so pleased that they were willing to do this. And I'm actually pretty impressed that MSNBC aired this. So somebody commented, they said, I think that they aired this because they want Democrats to know that this is what we're up against. People aren't taking this seriously. So if you look, hold on, let's see here. If you look at this comment, on a list of 10 most important issues this November, January 6th doesn't even crack the top 20. And somebody says not even the top 100. And somebody says, and that is a major problem that January 6th does not register with GOP supporters. So this is going to be what Democrats are going to take away from this. Republicans aren't taking January 6th seriously enough. And I honestly don't think that Democrats, I think that the reason they take January 6th seriously is simply because the media has told them to. The fact of the matter is that the mainstream media fears well-informed people. Like with this poor reporter who went out there and who was going to try to get them and try to convince them and convince everyone who was watching, she failed because these people came ready to go to get down to brass tacks, and they sure did. And there were enough of them that they overruled her. Now, I don't know if that's entirely fair. There certainly were more of them than there were of her. But at the same time, she has an infinitely larger platform than they do, and she's been pushing the January 6th thing for going on, 2 years now? Total insanity. Well-informed people, in fact, find as many sources as they can. So I am sure that these people don't just listen to CNN. They don't just listen to MSNBC. They probably go out there and they try to find their own news sources. They probably try to fact check everything they can. And I have to respect that because that's exactly the kind of thing that we were going for over at Timcast. It's something I personally have always pushed ever since I was debating policy debate and I needed to find evidence for whatever I was arguing. I've always found that incredibly important. Twitter is actually a great place for consolidating all of the different perspectives that you can get on a news story. Like even right here, we're looking at a bunch of different people talking about how, oh my gosh, this is crazy. People really don't care about January 6th. And you get somebody who jumps in and says it's a major problem. This was actually an insurrection, etc., etc. These kind of conversations are fostered on Twitter. And I get people who are like, you know what? Twitter is the worst. Twitter's such a cesspool. At the end of the day, Twitter is exactly what you make it. I have curated my Twitter extremely sharply and really carefully so that I see the things that are really important, really relevant. I stay away from the toxicity. I try to avoid the bullying as much as possible. I don't bully other people. I really don't call names, and I try not to attack things that people can't change about themselves. Like I would never attack someone based on their height or their race or their gender or anything like that. Those are things they can't change. It doesn't make sense to try to attack them on those things. But Twitter can really be a good place to get those things together. Now, I have a couple other sources that I want you guys to check out. In fact, let me pull up Memeorandum. So this is one of my favorite sites when I was when I used to research with Timothy D. Poole over at the Timcast Empire. It looks like this. So we have here from Politico, Washington Post, The Intercept. These are all talking about the same story, the progressives retracting the Russian diplomacy letter. Yeah, that was pretty crazy too. I thought about talking about that today as well. This is so neat. So we have over here, they're hiring in media, which is fun to watch too. New items, which is great. Adidas ending their partnership with Kanye, CBS News Battleground. So here we are looking at some of the polling, which is awesome. GOP's pouring 6 million in from Burgess events. So you'll get the slightly lesser known sources. You can look at some of these different polling places. You can look at all of these different things. Ash Carter. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, oh, you're not imagining it. There are fewer polls this cycle. See, that's interesting. I love Memeorandum. They also have a stream format. I think that's what it's called. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. And it's just like the breaking news stuff, if I can. Can't type. No, that's not right. You can arrange it so that it's in like time-based. Let me see here. Oh, I don't remember. They also have Media Gazer, which is about the media itself. And then if you're interested in politics, you have, or celebrities, you have WeSmirch, Tech Meme. So this is just like robotically aggregated news. There is no bias here. It's just pulling it all together. It gives you the title. It talks about what they're talking about. It groups things together. It's a good way to stay organized and stay on top of things. That's really what I wanted to recommend most, as well as AllSides.com, which is where you can go and see the political leanings of each of these news sources. So here we have from the right, from the center, and from the left. They're all talking about the same thing, all talking from different angles. Bloomberg's from the left, but not too left. So you see how these different gradations of left and right line up? Far left, center, medium right like medium rare, and then far right, whatever that is. I'm not sure who would be qualified as far right, but then we're talking about Brittany Griner. We have DeSantis and Chris debate. So this is one of the best ways to stay informed. I think I really like AllSides, and I really like Memeorandum, MEMEO random, RANDUM.com. That's one of my weaknesses. I can't spell like that, which sucks. But anyway, those are two different sources that I really like to use. But at the end of the day, I think the mainstream media really wants people to care about what they care about. So this is why January 6th keeps coming up. This is why abortion keeps coming up. And you can look at the polling and see that the regular person doesn't care. They just don't care about abortion. And like I keep saying on Twitter, everyone has to buy gas. Not everyone has to get an abortion. Everyone needs to eat. Not everyone needs to care about January 6th. If you think it was an insurrection, you have to fully believe that it was the weakest insurrection we've ever seen. And I just don't understand how they can square, this is my personal bias speaking, I don't understand how they can square the idea of insurrection with the idea of there being absolutely no weapons present, because there weren't. Polls show that people care about things they have to buy, like gas. People do not care about luxury ideas like abortion January 6th. And there's a very clear divide between the average person and the pundit class. And that's what we're seeing in this video, which is so interesting. From the working people who just showed up to do a favor for this MSNBC lady and speak a piece of their mind, which good for them, more power to them. I feel like we should do that more often. And there's such a clear divide between what they think is important and what she thinks is important. She obviously makes enough money that she doesn't need to worry about the price of gas, but that's not the average person. And I think at the end of the day, what I really want you guys to take away from this video is that we can fight back and we can win by being informed, like actually informed, not just listening to CNN and MSNBC, but by going to places like AllSides.com and Memeorandum.com and seeing what's really happening and looking at all the different perspectives. I also love Newsbusters for this. They're fully right-leaning, but they come up with the big stories. Like they just broke a story about how Google's suppressing results. Let me read that headline. Google caught manipulating search, buries data, GOP campaign sites in 83% of top Senate races. That's going to be a huge deal, and I really think that Newsbusters is the first site to break that. So definitely keep an eye on that and check it out for sure. But I think the best way to beat the mainstream media at their own game is to maintain your own level of engagement with the news and make sure that you're getting a balanced perspective. Because at the end of the day, your being informed is going to help you vote accordingly and help you convince other people who are not fully convinced by the left's arguments, because there are always going to be people in the middle. There will always be moderates who need the extra little push to decide whether or not they should vote for, fill in the blank, DeSantis or Noem or whoever's coming up this year. Your being informed can really help people make that decision. If you can actually point to a news story or a source that says what you believe to be true, if you can point to polling like we were looking at the other day and say something along the lines of, look, people don't think that I'm crazy. I'm not actually insane. I really think that will resonate with people who aren't fully convinced one way or the other yet. And I really think that's what we need to do. I think we need to maintain our kind spirits and make sure that we have the arguments necessary to persuade people to join us in doing the right thing. We need to be able to be, quote, wise as serpents and gentle as doves, which is some of that timeless wisdom from the Bible. And I think that if we work to do that we're going to be successful in the long run, because as we can see, man, that polling that we read the other day was so groundbreaking for me. I found it really, really inspirational, because normal people just need to hear a little bit more of the other side of the story, and then I am fully convinced that we're going to be able to change the world. And you guys might think I'm being too ambitious or a little bit crazy, but I think that we have what it takes, and I think that we are well read enough to be able to make these arguments in an educated way. So I'm really optimistic about the future. I hope that you are too. I think I'm going to put together a little video about the upcoming elections. I am planning to go on with Lauren Chen the night of the election, sometime in the evening. And I think either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to do something with Joe Bob, who's over, I believe, at the Blaze. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. I will try to keep you posted on that. Might have to record a video ahead of time for tomorrow or Thursday. We'll see how that shakes out. In either case, thank you guys very much for joining me today. Go out there and get and stay informed. Don't rule out your friends. Keep trying to convince them. Keep trying to be friendly. It's all going to be all right in the end. Until I see you next. Bye, guys.